Here we've got the Modbap Trinity, so called as we have a trifecta of drum sounds, a trio of percussion, a triplet for triplets, a trilogy of drumology. Yes, we've got 3 drum sounds in a single module, a kick drum, a snare and a hi-hat, and each of these has got 4 distinct sound engines and a range of inputs for CV control on the fly. In this track I'm controlling 6 parameters with CV, using the Erica Synth's Black Sequencer as my main CV control. And this is controlling the kick drum and the hi-hat tuning, the decay time of the snare and hi-hat, as well as the shape of the snare and the amount of grit on the hi-hat. So if I just play the drums individually, kick drum obviously, and you can hear we're changing the tuning of it. Let's have a listen to the snare. A few little odd bits and bobs going on there. Go to the hi-hats. You can hear I've got a little LFO on the grit. It's coming in and out, sounding sort of really gnarly and crusty. And that's the pitch. And that's going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inputs on the Trinity, as well as obviously the trigger inputs, which are coming from the Steppy. I'll just quickly run through the front panel. Let's put them all back on the main out. We've got a kick drum, snare, and a hi-hat. And we can select which of these we're editing with Shift and press the trigger key. So now we're editing the kick drum. Now we're editing the snare. And now we're editing the hi-hat. And we edit those with all these knobs here, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different knobs, all the ones, the big white ones, have got input controls on the CV. If we look here, we've got volts per octave for the pitch, then we've got character, sweep, time, decay, grit and shape. Now I'm trying to remember which was plugged into where. And we've got a mix on the bottom right, as well as individual outputs for each of the drums, and we can switch those to both the individual and the mix, or just to the single individual output on each of them. Plus we've got a USB down here, and this is quite unique because we can trigger them from channels 1 to 3 or all of them on 16. Plus you've got control, MIDI CC control of all the parameters. So if you're out of modulation sources in your DAW, or you want more live tweaking via the control surface, there are tons of options in here. And that's it at its very basic level, and just knowing that will get you started, but of course it's Modbap, so there's a fair bit more in here. Each of the drum modules has got 4 sound engines, which you select using this button here. So let's go back into the kick with Shift and kick. So 4 distinct engines, and we've got those for each of the sounds. And these are called Block, HEAP, Neon and Arcade, which are probably more easily described as classic, additive, FM and noise. And that's all handily explained on these flashcards that you get in the box. And we get those because each of the parameters we control is dependent on what sound engine is selected. They're all generally similar, but have subtle differences. Pitch, for example, is the pitch of the sound on all engines, except for Arcade, where it emulates sample rate reduction. Let's have a little play. So obviously, but if we go to type here, sample rate reduction. And we've got some additional modes here. We've got cycle and stack. If we use cycle mode, if we're on blue, it's random, and if it's on pink, it cycles through them. Plus we've got this stack mode on the top right, and this will trigger different sounds together in layers of 2 or 3 voices. So when it's not on, we're just getting the kick and the snare. Then we're getting all 3 there. And if we do something like maybe go to the snare, put the snare onto cycle mode, and then go back into the kick, put the stack on there. You can hear that we're playing the snare and the snare's cycling through the different modes. There's loads of options for all sorts of mad sound creation, particularly as you can modulate everything with CV. So let's have a listen to them then, shall we? Without going through every single permutation and combination, let's see what these engines sound like. So we'll start off with the kick, just make it a bit sensible to start with. Sweep and sweep time. Decay, and we've got hold here as well. Then this clipper, which is just great. Nice, that, isn't it? We've also got this EQ. If we go above 12 o'clock, it's high pass. We go below 12 o'clock, anti-clockwise from there, it becomes low pass. So all very nice. This character knob on the top changes from a sine to a triangle. Tons and tons of stuff. This shape knob adds a second oscillator. And then the grit knob adds FM. And then that moves all the way through to noise and takes out the initial oscillator. So although it's a kick, obviously you've got tons of stuff. Turn it down, don't want to blow our speakers. So that's just the kick on just the block. If we move over to additive now, let's add some clipper because I really like it. It's beautiful, isn't it? Character spreads 12 oscillators. Grit's introducing FM again. Shape increases the distance between the oscillators. That gives us more bell-like things. Turn that down a little bit, it's all getting a bit loud again. Don't forget, we're still on a kick here. So moving over to the third one, that's called Neon, and this one is FM. So that's adding modulation. This is changing the FM ratio and shape. And Grit again is adding a feedback, going all the way to noise. Again, loads of things to play with there, but it's definitely an FM engine, isn't it? Some beautiful, beautiful FM tones in there, aren't there? And finally, we've got Arcade, which is essentially noise. Character is a bandpass filter. Pitch, as we saw earlier, is sample rate reduction. Sweep is sort of completely different here because it adds ratchets. So that between the sweep and the time. And spread reduces the sampling interval. Let's just turn that sweep down. And the flashcard said that the shape controls the sampling interval here. Lower settings will repeat less often with the sample rate, which creates metallic sounding timbres or video game-like sounds when the pitch is set low. But really, it's just the sort of madness knob. And then grit makes it sound more grainy. And don't forget, we're still just on the kick here. If we just go over to the snare and just mess around for a little bit so you get an idea. Additive. Just trying to give an overall flavour, not going through absolutely everything. This is FM. And then back to noise again. And doing the same with the hi-hat. Introducing FM, adding a second oscillator, changing the shape of the oscillator. Over to additive, same again. Add some more FM to that, all the way to noise. Hi-hat, remember. Now over to the FM. Remember, that's modulation amount, that's FM ratio. Then over to noise. So just a whistle-stop tour of how it works. Hopefully that gives you a really good indication. Loads of things to play with. 7 different CV inputs for each of the drum sounds, separate outs or both. A very, very, very nice little drum module. And I can't believe some of the belting kicks that you can get from it. Rather lovely. And twinned with the Osiris, it's a great little pair actually. So on this we've got 3 drums, or 3 whatevers, and on the Osiris, don't forget, you've got the sub oscillator plus the main oscillator, so you've got loads to play with. That intro track was all done just playing on these 2 with a little bit of delay from the Qubit Nautilus. So I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, please think about subscribing, ring the bell, join me over on Patreon. I've got hours worth of tutorials helping you to get the most out of your synths, plus some patches and some samples and bits and bobs, you know. Get over there, get in touch, and I'll see what I can do to help or whatever. It's just all really nice to help to support the channel. So I will see you next time.